Today is foundational. This is the first lab session. And the tool I want to give you is one I use all the time now. Check your landmarks. So I want to start with something simple, but it's one of those simple things that can change a lot if you actually practice it. This mini-series is called the Discernment Lab. And the premise is basically this: clarity doesn't come from more emotions. It comes from better analysis. And I know that might sound a little cold, like, oh, so we're robots now? No, that's not what I mean. I'm not anti-emotion. I'm not saying you shouldn't trust your gut. I'm not saying you shouldn't ask questions. I'm not even saying that you shouldn't feel deeply, because some people feel deeply, and that's not a character flaw. What I am saying is, if you don't have clarity, your brain will try to fill in the holes. And if you're anxious, even just a little bit, those holes get filled with whatever emotions are loudest at the moment. So this first video is about something I wish I understood earlier: pattern over promise. Meaning, don't let someone's intention, charm, or future potential carry more weight than what their behavior has consistently shown you. Because consistency is louder than intention. And I didn't always live like that. For a long time, I was honestly very reactionary. I didn't stop to think before responding. I operated from anxiety. And anxiety is sneaky because it'll dress itself up like morality. It'll tell you you're being responsible, you're being considerate, you're being loving, you're being careful. But really, you might be trying to manage your discomfort. You might be trying to control outcomes so you feel at ease. And I had a season a few years ago where I had to face that in a way I couldn't talk myself out of. There was a situation with my oldest son, and I'm not going to go into details. I'm not doing trauma dumps, and I'm not telling family stories for the internet. But what I can say is that it showed me something very plainly. When I'm led by anxiety, when I trust the wrong voices, when I don't trust my husband to handle things, and when I feel this need to control every inch of everything, I don't create safety. I create mayhem. I create misunderstanding. I create hurt. And honestly, more anxiety than I can even tolerate. I was trying to force an outcome I could live with, an outcome that made me feel steady. And instead, I made everything harder and much worse. And the part that changed me is this: I realized the change needed to start with me. Not because nobody else ever needs to change. That's not what I'm saying. But because I had to take responsibility for the way my nervous system and my fear was driving decisions. Hi, love. Before you go, if you want something you can actually work through off camera, I have a free Guard Your Proximity guide linked below. It's simple, it's grounding, and it gives you a starting point when you can feel yourself slipping into confusion. And here's the fun part. When we hit 100 subscribers, I'm celebrating with a giveaway. The reward is the full Guard Your Proximity workbook. This is a complete extensive PDF that goes deeper and walks you through how to guard your proximity and stay grounded. So if you want that reward unlocked, subscribe and share the channel with someone who'd get value from this. The faster we hit 100, the faster the giveaway drops. Consider this my thank you for building this with me reward. Now let's get back to the video. So today is foundational. This is the first lab session. And the tool I want to give you is one I use all the time now. Check your landmarks. Let's talk about why this matters. A lot of people out here are trying to get clarity by getting more emotional. Like, if I cry enough, I'll know what to do. If I talk it out enough, I'll feel sure. If I reply enough times, it'll finally click. But what often happens is you end up in a loop. You keep rereading the same text. You keep rerunning the same conversation. You keep asking the same friend. You keep trying to make the right decision. And you're exhausted. But you're not clear. That's not because you're incapable. A lot of the time, it's because you're trying to get certainty from a place that can't provide it. Emotion gives you information. Yes, it does. It can be an alarm system. It can be intuition. It can be grief. It can be love. It can be a warning. But emotion is also highly influenced. And it can be influenced by fear of letting people down, fear of being judged, fear of conflict, even fear of being too much, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being alone, fear of making the wrong call. So, if that fear is running the show, you can end up calling it intuition. You can end up calling it my gut, but it's not. It's your anxiety writing fan fiction. And I say that with love because I used to be a best-selling author in that genre. So, what we're doing in this series is learning to separate. You're going to separate signal from noise, data from story, pattern from promise. And today is about the first split, pattern over promise. So we're going to talk about landmarks first. And here's the definition that I use, and I'm going to keep it simple. Landmarks are basically areas to pay attention to. This can be emotional, mental, it can be an action, or even a lack of action. So when I say check your landmarks, I mean before you interpret, before you accuse, before you spiral, and before you fix, locate yourself. Because if you don't locate yourself, you will mistake anxiety for truth. And there are two types. Your inner landmarks, these are internal indicators. Things like, I feel anxious, my thoughts are racing, I feel urgency, I feel pressure to explain myself, I feel the need to control this, and I feel dread about what happens if I don't act. Inner landmarks are not bad, they're just information, but they are not always instructions. And now we have the external landmarks, number 2. These are observable indicators outside of you. These are things like what someone actually did, what they didn't do, what the timeline is, what has repeated before, what they do consistently when it costs them something, and what happens after you bring something up. External landmarks are what you keep tethered to reality, because your mind can create an entire emotional court case based on zero evidence. And external landmarks are like, ma'am, we're going to need some exhibits. Let me give you a normal example. If my husband calls me and I call him back and he doesn't answer, at first I can brush it off. Okay, he's busy. But if 20 minutes go by and I still don't hear back, I start to get nervous. That's an inner landmark. And it tells me a few things. I care about him. I worry about his safety. I don't know why he isn't calling me back. And here's where it can turn. The longer I go without contact, the more my mind wants to fill in the holes. And if I'm not careful, I stop dealing from the facts and I start dealing with the story my anxiety is building. So what do I do now? I pause, I breathe, I assess circumstances. And sometimes I make myself wait. Sometimes I distract myself because anxiety feels like it needs an immediate answer. And I've learned I can communicate that this is hard for me. And I can accept that sometimes it's not realistic to expect an immediate response. So I redirect my mental sight to the facts. Fact number 1, he hasn't answered yet. Fact number 2, I don't have any evidence something is wrong. Fact number 3, there are normal reasons someone doesn't answer. And fact number 4, my anxiety is rising, so I need to regulate before I decide what anything means. That's landmarks in action. Now, here's why that matters for pattern over promise. Because a lot of people don't check their landmarks. They skip straight to the interpretation. And if someone has charm can make you interpret in their favor. If someone makes promises can make you ignore patterns. Which brings me to the heart of this video, pattern over promise. When I say pattern over promise, I'm talking about this common trap. Someone says the right thing, someone has the right intention, someone seems sincere, someone is charming, someone has potential. And because of that, you override the data you already have. And I want to be really clear. I am not saying don't trust your gut. Sometimes your gut is a gift. But what I am saying is your gut should not have to fight the evidence. If your gut says they're safe, but your external landmarks say, I'm always confused, I'm always waiting, I'm always cleaning up their messes, I'm always second guessing, then what you're calling gut might actually be hope or fear or attachment or conditioning. So here's the foundation. Consistency is louder than intention. Someone can intend to be respectful and still repeatedly disrespect you. Someone can intend to follow through and still repeatedly not show up. Someone can intend to change and still consistently do the same thing. And we get trapped because we keep weighing intention like it's behavior. But intention isn't a pattern, it's a claim. A promise is not data, it's a statement. A pattern is what has happened repeatedly. And the reason charm delays discernment is because charm makes the promise feel safer than the pattern feels. Charm makes you go, maybe I'm overreacting. Charm makes you go, they didn't mean it. Charm makes you go, they're just going through something. Charm makes you go, but when it's good, it's really good. And listen, I get it. Sometimes people are going through something. Sometimes people do mean well. But if the pattern keeps producing harm, confusion, instability, or anxiety, then you don't need a villain story. You need clarity. If a bridge collapses every time you drive over it, you don't need to psychoanalyze the bridge. You just need to stop driving over it like it's sturdy. That's pattern over promise. So I want to ask you a few questions just to let you notice what's already true. This is not to shame you, not to force a decision, just to locate you. Where do you keep giving weight to what someone says while ignoring what they do? Where do you keep understanding something, but the outcome is still hurting you? Where do you keep accepting charm as proof of safety when your body keeps feeling unsettled? Where are you consistently confused, like it's become normal? Because guess what? Confusion is a landmark too. And I want you to consider this. If someone's presence consistently creates confusion in you, you don't need more time. You need better analysis. Let me make this practical. When you feel yourself getting pulled into emotional first decision making, do this. Step 1, name your inner landmark. I feel anxious. I feel urgency. I feel pressure. I feel like I need to fix this right now. Step 2, name one external landmark. What actually happened? What didn't happen? What has repeated? What do I know for sure? Step 3, ask, am I responding to data or narrative? And if it's narrative, you don't need to decide yet. You need to regulate first. This is where discernment starts. It's not dramatic. It's not a big speech. It's noticing. And notice, this isn't ignore your emotions. This is don't let your emotions drive you while you're still trying to figure out what road you're on. Now, this is where guard your proximity connects to this series. Because when you're trying to identify landmarks, especially if you're anxious, your environment matters. The free Guard Your Proximity PDF is there to help you make sure you have the right voices around you. Not voices that hype you up, not voices that push you into chaos, not voices that make everything about cutting people off or burn it all down, but voices that can help you. They help you stay grounded, stay safe, and stay accountable. Because sometimes the hardest part of discernment isn't that you can't see the landmarks. It's that you're surrounded by people who help you explain them away. Or you're surrounded by content that tells you if it feels intense, it must be real. Or if you're anxious, it must be a sign. Or if you're uncomfortable, something is wrong. And that's not always true. Sometimes discomfort is a landmark. Sometimes discomfort is a landmark that you're doing something new and healthy. Sometimes the boring option is the wise option. We'll talk more about that later in the series, but I want to plant that seed now. So, if you want something gentle to support you while you're learning this, the free Guard Your Proximity PDF is there. It's not a solution, it's a support. Here's the part I think most people miss. A lot of us are not actually trying to make the right decision. We're trying to make the decision that reduces anxiety the fastest. And that's why promises are so addictive, because a promise temporarily reduces anxiety. A promise gives you relief. A promise gives you hope. A promise gives you a future you can hold on to. And accepting what's true can feel scary because it removes your ability to control the outcome. And accepting what's true can feel scary because it removes your ability to control the outcome. But discernment is not control. Discernment is clarity. And clarity doesn't always give you comfort immediately. Sometimes clarity just gives you direction. Sometimes it gives you the next right question. Sometimes it gives you the boundary you've been avoiding. But clarity is kinder than confusion. Confusion keeps you stuck. Clarity might sting, but it stabilizes you. So today, we're building the muscle. Stop overweighing promise. Start honoring pattern. And you can do that by checking your landmarks. So I want to end this episode really calmly because this series isn't meant to spike your nervous system. This is the Discernment Lab. We're not here to shame ourselves. We're here to observe. If you've been reactionary, if anxiety has been your guiding light, please hear me. That doesn't make you bad. A lot of those patterns started as survival. But survival patterns don't always make good leadership patterns. And what changed for me is that I stopped focusing on whether everyone else needed to change. And I started focusing on what was happening inside me that kept pulling me out of clarity. So here's your simple takeaway for this week. Identify one moment in your day-to-day where you can name one inner landmark. That's what's happening inside of you. And identify one external landmark, what's actually happening in reality. All you need is just one, not 10, not your whole life story, not a full diagnosis, not a deep dive, just one moment. Because the more you recognize it, the more you can handle what you can handle and step back from what you can't and learn when to breathe and when to come back. And in the next video, we're going to talk about something that hits a lot of people really hard: behavior lag. When words come early and actions never arrive, and why eventually is not neutral. But for now, just notice your landmarks. Pattern over promise. And if you want the free Guard Your Proximity PDF as a companion while you practice this, it will be linked for you. No pressure, just support. All right, that's the video. I'll see you in the next lab session. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today. If this video resonated with you in any way, I'd really appreciate you taking a moment to like and subscribe. Sharing this video helps it reach someone else who may need it, and that support truly makes a difference. If you'd like to keep coming back, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful you chose to spend part of your day with this content. Take care of yourself, move at your own pace, and I'll see you next time.